You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Sorry, I'm doing a fantasy football draft. Let's get into it with the lead. I'm just joking. I made my last pick like 4 minutes ago in a best ball draft. We're good. You have my undivided attention. Welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday. We are live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online at sportscloset.ca. Jerseys, hats to the legendary foam finger. You'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. We are also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My morning baseball parlay of Yankees run line and Braves Marlins over is looking good. 6-0 Braves in the bottom of the third. So the over was 8.5. I need 3 more runs there. Yankees Nats, 5-0 Yankees. Forget about it. I'm okay if the Yankees win as long as I bet on them. They're also still 4.5 games back of the Jays, so I really don't care all that much anyway. But welcome into the show. No Liam today. He's gone to Penticton for V's camp. He's on assignment. But there
Sad Liam shot.
There will be someone in that chair in a few minutes. It'll be Coombsy. He's going to join us on the Star Mechanical guest line in about 10-15 minutes time. In the meantime, it's me. It's the YouTube chat, which of course brought to you by Odd Company Brewing and the Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. Amanda's in the chat, says, I miss pre-gaming and After Dark. Well, Aaron's back from vacation.
Howdy. I also couldn't get my camera to work. So
well, that's all right.
Fine. I missed you all so much. I had a great week away. It was awesome.
Where'd you go?
I went to BC, so I hit up the Day of the Hole-in-One stream, which was fantastic entertainment for a man stuck in the car for 8 hours that day. I watched you all day, and
which is wild,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
I was crushing beers in the hot tub at the end, just watching you. Met an old man in the hot tub from Calgary, big Oilers fan.
Oh, sweet.
Was chirping the shit out of Flames Nation, but I'll leave it at that.
Great.
But he's watching. He's like so invested in you for like 2 hours. He's like, I really like this guy. He's really battling. Like he's really must be. So yeah, man, he's going. Hit up Sycamoose for a day. Then I went to Kelowna for 2. Beach day, winery. And then I went to Vancouver, where I had never been as an adult before. So that was very nice. Very beautiful. I did describe to you that East Hastings kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a very depressing thing to see for the first time.
It's just weird that it's all in one specific area. And then everything else is very beautiful and nice. But I had a great trip away. Feel refreshed, feel rejuvenated. And I also miss pre-gaming and After Dark. But we're not that far away, people.
We're not that far away, and I do get a little bit of like the preseason scaries where I'm like, oh my God, hockey's almost back. Like, we got to start planning a show for next year. We got to move back upstairs.
That's the part I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
But it'll be good up there.
But it's also only August. Like, we don't really ramp up till October 1.
Exactly. And I'm not like fully ready. And it's kind of funny when we do like the Instagram, remember like the jersey countdown or whatever? That to me is just straight up till my summer is over because then pre and After Dark starts.
Totally.
So I got an exact countdown every day, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But we're not there. Still, summer's not over. It's also a heat wave right now. I was gone. It was like 30 degrees. I guess it was shitty here when I was gone. Come back.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's 30 degrees again, yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, it was great. When I was gone on my honeymoon, it was terrible here, and I felt great about that.
Yeah,
because
right.
I was
You
like, I
always
feel like
do
we're
when
still
that
getting a heat wave. If you want, you can go to Twitter, Aaron, and I'll show this for the people. 13 minutes ago, Connor McDavid talking to the media. TSN has the video on their Twitter, so maybe we can play it for everyone in just a moment. But McDavid's down in Calgary. If you don't know, at the orientation camp for Hockey Canada. Obviously, it's an Olympic year coming up. He spoke to the media. Was obviously asked about his contract with the Oilers. So we will get to that. I'll play that for you all in a minute. Obviously, we had the Jeff Jackson clip on our show earlier in the week on Monday, and like, there's nothing that's gonna surprise me in this. Like, and McDavid says it again. I'll play the clip in a couple minutes. He says all options are on the table, and like, I do believe him in saying that. Do we have it? All right, let's give it a listen, then we'll give our thoughts.
Connor, we'll talk lots of Olympics, but do want to get to the contract situation. Maybe just give us a sense of where things sit right now, how you feel, about what Stan has done, and, if you're optimistic that a deal will get done before the season starts.
Yeah, not even a softball Olympic question for me to start, huh? But that's okay. Right into it. Yeah, no. I said at the end of June, I had every intention just to take my time with it, and I still feel the same way. Take my time and go through everything, and I have every intention to win in Edmonton. That's my only focus. Maybe next to winning the gold medal with Canada, but that is my intention to win there. But yeah, taking my time, going through it with obviously my family, my agent, everybody involved. So we're going through it slowly.
Going through it slowly, not surprising at all. This is going to be a deal that is 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 years. This is going to be a deal that's 16, 17, 18, or $19 million. And this is a deal that's going to get signed on September 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th. No one knows anything. The Oilers haven't presented him numbers yet. So I think anyone who's out there pretending to do insider, he's signing on this day, this is the contract, they haven't gotten to that point yet. And I think if, again, you listen to the Jeff Jackson clip from The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, and that full interview, I believe, is going to drop next week from out in cottage country in Ontario. If you listen to that, Jeff Jackson said it's going to be a very simple, quick phone call. Connor McDavid probably does have some general idea of what he wants this contract to look like. It'll just be a matter of sitting down with the Oilers and going, okay, what's the 4-year deal look like? What's the 5-year deal? Maybe there's a world where what's the 3-year deal look like? What do the numbers look like? If I'm at this number, what are you doing with the team next summer? How does everything else fall into place? And then it takes about probably an hour for the Oilers to go, all right, so the AAV you want, Connor, is what do you say, 17 million? Okay, great. 17 million. How much of it do you want in signing bonus? Okay, great. All right, done. And yeah, you just sign here. Boom, we're done. And we're going to announce it tomorrow morning, and you'll be down at Rogers Place to hold the press conference. So McDavid did have a line because he was asked a little bit, and I saw a couple of reporters who were doing like he left the door open of not signing it before the season starts. But Connor also dropped the line later on that he doesn't want to be a distraction. Connor McDavid, what do we know about him? We've been around him now as a fan base, as hockey fans, as Oilers fans for a decade. Do you think every city he goes to with visiting media for even his first 3 months of the season, do you think he wants to be asked, what do you think about the extension? Every time the Oilers lose 3 straight games, Connor, do you think there's a chance that maybe you don't want to sign? He doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be a distraction. This will absolutely get done before the start of the season. I have never doubted that at all. It's going to be fine. And whatever this contract comes in at, he's going to be an Oiler for a number of seasons after this. There's no reason to be worried. And I think everyone who did the whole, LA, Boston, the New York, this, that, it's not a slam dunk he signs in Edmonton. It's always been a slam dunk he signs with the Edmonton Oilers.
Foregone conclusion is the word I'm using.
Yeah. And again, this line, I have every intention to win in Edmonton. It's my only focus. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He knows his best chance to win a Stanley Cup is with the Edmonton Oilers and with Leon Draisaitl. And again, you can look at everything he's done in his personal life, everything behind the scenes. It lines up to this being a guy who wants to stay in Edmonton for however many years. We don't know. I would still, if you gave me a chance and said, Tyler, you got to bet on McDavid being an Oiler wire to wire or ever wearing another jersey, I would still put all my money on he is wire to wire an Edmonton Oiler. He's not going to leave. The only path, only world where I can see Connor McDavid one day not being an Edmonton Oiler, and I think you'll all like this hypothetical, is if in the next 6-7 seasons, he goes out and wins 2 Stanley Cups. And he's got his 2 rings, and then maybe at the end of Leon's contract, Leon is like, maybe not even the same player. Maybe it's like a Patrick Kane situation in Chicago where it's like, you know what? We're heading towards a rebuild. We're not going to pay you all that money. Go somewhere else. And then Connor goes, you know what? Maybe I do want to do the homecoming thing, which I really don't think he'd ever want to do. Or maybe he goes, you know what? I will do the Los Angeles for 2 years or wherever he would end up going to play out the end of his contract. Who knows what things look like then? But the only chance I think Connor McDavid ever leaves the Edmonton Oilers is if he's got rings on his finger and they're more than just his wedding ring, which looked great. And his quarter zip looked great. That Hockey Canada quarter zip, Connor. That's awesome. Can't wait for you to sign the contract. And yeah, there's your Connor McDavid update. The first 10 minutes of our show talking about the same shit we've been talking about for the last 6 weeks with the Connor McDavid extension. And I'll once again reiterate, anyone who's pretending to be insidery, saying it's happening on this day, it's this dollar amount with They don't know what they're talking about because Connor doesn't know what day it's going to be. And the Oilers don't know what day it's going to be. And the Oilers don't know the years or the numbers. And I really don't even think Connor McDavid does at this point. I think he has a general idea, but they haven't gotten that far. And both sides continue to say this is going to be an easy, quick negotiation. So we have no reason to not believe them on that. On that note, we're going to get to Coombsy in like 4 or 5 minutes. But first, I wanted to do a little what's trending for our friends at Oodle Noodle. The community box gives 10% of all proceeds to our friends at Sports Central every quarter. They mix it up right now. It's the hot tie box. You can get one at any one of their locations around the city. What's trending? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift got engaged yesterday. Boy, I don't care about that. Keegan Bradley didn't pick himself for the Ryder Cup. I care way more about that. Keegan Bradley's been one of the better golfers in the world. Never mind just American golfers. One of the better golfers in the world this season. His career resurgence has been awesome. I'm like legitimately upset that he picked Patrick Cantlay over himself. I think the storyline of him being in there would have been very good. It would have added like some juice and something unique to the Ryder Cup. Keegan said this, it broke my heart not to play, but ultimately I was chosen to do a job. I was chosen to be a captain. And the captain of the Ryder Cup team has a bunch of responsibilities. You got to put together a roster. That's step one. But then when it actually gets to the Ryder Cup, you need to be picking guys to play and doing pairings. And
you got to do the media circus.
There's so much to do. So I understand why he doesn't want to play, because if he were to play and try to balance everything, he's got to find a co-captain probably. And if he plays bad, it's a really tough look. But I just also fucking hate Patrick Cantlay.
I was going to say Patrick Cantlay just fucking sucks, man.
Well, so you're probably in a similar spot to me, Aaron. And like Liam, you know Liam's rooting for Team Europe. And I like a lot of the guys on Team Europe. I like Fleetwood and Lauer. All those guys are great. I'm also a fan of a lot of the American golfers. I like Scotty Scheffler. I love Xander Schauffele. Justin Thomas is probably my favorite pro golfer right now. I love Colin Morikawa. Like, I like a lot of these guys, but I still just have a tough time rooting for Team USA. So I don't know how I go about cheering in the Ryder Cup. I honestly think it's as lame as I'm going to gamble on a few matches, and I'm going to be like a true innocent bystander. I'm going to be watching it like impartial journalist mode, just being like, I don't care who wins.
Switzerland? You're going to be Switzerland about this?
Just entertain me.
For me, I think I'm just Team North America. I think I would go that way just because I think I like a couple of these guys more than the European boys. But my curiosity, where you at? Do you like Bryson? Because it's been a weird career arc.
I'm back on Bryson.
I think I am also back on Bryson because of YouTube golf.
Yeah.
But I mean, remember when Bryson got taken out by that piece of rope that was like on the side and he yelled at that? Like, that was peak just being awful. But now I kind of like Bryson. I like Xander Schauffele. You like Scotty. JJ Spawn's a good story. Yep. I'm Team USA, but I mean, I also feel dirty about that. I totally get what you mean. But I'm not European, so... Well, I guess actually I am, technically.
Well, easy now. All right, so there's my Ryder Cup talk. I love golf. I wanted to talk some golf. I think I'm golf. Well, Oilers Nation Open is coming up this Friday. Well, I'll talk more about that later, though. We won't worry about that. For now, I wanted to talk about this. It's this time of the year. It's August 25th. The NHL season is like kind of around the corner, but it's still, if we're talking highway driving, like you just did a bunch of, Aaron, it's a couple exits away still. Oh, yeah. It's not next exit. It's a few down.
There's a couple more piss breaks on the way.
There you go. But one of the things that happens this time of year is EA Sports releases their ratings for the upcoming season. So they've done a whole bunch of the positions already. They have left defenseman, right defenseman. They have left wing. Oh, they have left wing, right wing, goalie, and center. They actually have all the positions. They're all out now. This is awesome then. Okay, well, let's start. Let's go in order that they announced them. Let's start with the left defenseman, where they have the number one left defenseman in the NHL as Quinn Hughes, 95 overall. Werenski, Yossi, Hedman, Dahlin are all 92, which I think I agree with, but I do think Father Time's maybe taking a run at Roman Yossi a little bit. So I maybe would have had him a little bit lower. I would have had Heiskanen a little bit higher. Slavin's a 90. I think Jacob Slavin actually probably should have been in that 92 group. I would imagine his defensive metrics are very, very high, and his offensive ones hurt him.
Defenseman in the NHL, in my opinion.
But yeah, best shutdown D-man. You probably could have bumped him up a little bit. Morrissey's a 90, no disagreement there. Jake Sanderson at 89 was honestly pretty surprising to me. I feel like he could have been a touch lower, but him in the same range as Forsling. Maybe I have a bit of a beef there. I would have maybe had Forsling up a bit and Sanderson down a little bit, but that's not bad. Right defenseman, obviously, Evan Bouchard is in the mix here. And this is where I do have a beef, because the left defenseman to right defenseman, it's skewed. Cale Makar's a 95, so they have him and Quinn Hughes is the same. That's fine. Adam Fox at 90 is fine in the context of considering where the left defensemen are. But the fact that on the left D-man, like Sanderson's an 89, Morrissey's an 90. Sanderson being an 89 and Evan Bouchard being an 88 is absolute bullshit. Every GM across the league would much rather have Evan Bouchard than Jake Sanderson on their team. Bouchard, in the context of this right defenseman ranking, is fine.
I think that's fair. Where he's
But
placed.
what the hell are we doing? We are well past having Evan Bouchard ranked the same as Dougie Hamilton, John Carlson, who's on the wrong side of 30 and taking steps back year after year. Dougie Hamilton, who can't stay healthy. Like, him being fourth on the right defenseman, I can see the path to it here. That is okay. Adam Fox had a bad year, that's fine. Charlie McAvoy, but one overall worse, that's fine. But it's the 88 rating being the same as Hamilton, Carlson, Doughty, then comparing it to the left defenseman where he is worse than every guy on the left defenseman list. That's bullshit. The Evan Bouchard disrespect is just, it's bad. EA got this one wrong. I have no problem putting my hand up and saying EA got the Evan Bouchard rating absolutely wrong. He's a 90 overall defenseman. Behind Makar and Hughes, he is right up there for best offensive defenseman in the NHL. He should be higher than Fox and McAvoy, although I can understand why maybe he's not with the way the ratings go, but he absolutely needed to be higher than 88.
For me, if Bouchard, he was an 88, you said?
Yeah.
Forsling's 89. Bush and Forsling should be 90s. Sanderson should be lower. That's my bugaboo. That's, yeah.
Sanderson absolutely shouldn't.
If Bush goes up, Forsling goes up too.
Yeah.
That's my...
Sure.
Yeah. I got a front row seat to that the last 2 years.
Fair. And that's totally fair. But like, Bouchard being worse than Sanderson and being the same rating as Dobson, like, come on. Doughty, come on. He's wrong side of 30. Carlson, come on. Hamilton's not as good offensively as Bouchard is. So that's my beef with the defensemen there. Left wingers. Obviously, no Oilers in the mix on this one. They went Kaprizov, Matt Tkachuk, Panarin, Kyle Connor, Jesper Bratt, I think is a bit high. Ovi, Hagel, Boldy. I actually think Boldy's a bit low. I like Boldy more than I like Bratt. Marchand, I think, is a bit high. People are way overvaluing Brad Marchand for what he did in the playoffs, which was amazing, but he is a 50 to 60 point guy at this stage in his career, not 89 overall. Jake Gensel should have been higher than Brad Marchand. Next. No Oilers to talk about there. Right wingers. And this is where I believe Zach Hyman should have gone. I think Zach Hyman belongs on this list. And I honestly am a little bit irked that he's not there, especially when you consider some of the names they did put on. Lucas Raymond is a damn good young player. And I know there will be people saying that, well, if Lucas Raymond played with Connor McDavid and on that power play, he would score a lot of goals. Sure. Kirill Marchenko, he will score 25 plus goals every year for a very long time. I like him. But the point is, last season, I know Zach Hyman had a step back productivity-wise. It wasn't his best year. He's still only 1 year removed from being, third in the league in goals? 54 goals that season. One of the better playoff performers of the last 3-4 seasons. I think Zach Hyman probably could have gotten a little bit more respect on this list. Clayton Keller, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Sam Reinhart, Mikko Rantanen, David Pastrnak, Nikita Kucherov, all better than him. Marchenko, Mark Stone, he's taking a step back. So if you're punishing Hyman for a step back, I think you should punish Stone for his step back. Marchenko, Raymond, Stone, Hyman should have been somewhere in that 89 overall range. Or those guys are just a little bit too high, and they should have been knocked back to wherever Hyman is. So there's my beef with the right wingers. Goalies, I didn't have a ton of issues with the goalie list. It goes Hellebuck 94. The other goalies that are above 90, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Sorokin, Bobrovsky, and Ottinger. Bob probably deserves to be higher, sure. Philip Gustafson at 89, feel like he should be lower. This, to me, just illustrates that there is a very clear upper class of NHL goalies. Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Sorokin, Bobrovsky, Ottinger. Like, all of those guys, I would trust to some extent to guide my team to a Stanley Cup.
Well, sometimes their own coaches won't, and Jake Ottinger's
Well,
case.
that's also fair. I just think it falls off fast in the NHL, and they're too gradual with this. It should go, the 6 guys who are 90s are all 90s, and then it should absolutely fall to like 86 or 85.
I was going to say they should all be 87s as the top of the next tier for me of these guys. Gustafson at 89. He's been good. He's been struggled. Like, there's too much flip-flop in there.
Yep. Which does tie
Demko's injury, something, I hope that's scaled very high.
Yeah.
You got to take that into account. If you simulate, Demko's getting injured.
I do also think this ties in a little bit to like the Oilers conversation of like, I really do think there are those 6 goalies in the NHL, and I think the fall off is that drastic. And I think it's like obviously very hard to get one of those 6. How many of them have changed teams in their careers? Bob changed teams twice. The other guys are probably all going to be like wire to wire with the franchise that brought them into the NHL. It's hard to get one of those upper echelon guys. The middle, I think, gets mushy in a hurry, where like from 7 till probably 15, I think there's a lot of really similar caliber goalies. So no beefs there. The last one EA Sports had was obviously centerman, and obviously Connor McDavid is number 1 on the list at a very fitting 97. But here's what I have to say to you, EA Sports. Why are we afraid of 99s? Connor McDavid's very obviously the best player in the NHL.
Madden does it.
Madden does it all the time. If you were to craft a hockey player, Connor McDavid's about as perfect as you could craft. Why is he not a 99 overall? Don't be afraid of the 99s. No one's going to come along in the next 10, 15 years that's going to be better than Connor McDavid. So just make him a 99. It's okay to set that bar. It's okay to have a bit of separation. I digress. McDavid should have been a 99. He's still number 1. McKinnon and Draisaitl are 96s. I will hand up say, bit of Austin Matthews disrespect here. I think Matthews is in that 95 plus range. Again, he was hurt last year. I think that obviously plagued him to an extent, but I think Matthews could have been a little bit higher on this list.
We know what he's capable of doing.
Just how many guys on this list can score you 60 goals?
Exactly.
There are 4 of them. It's McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, and Matthews. If you want to put Matthews and Barkov the same, because you go, one guy is elite defensively, but one guy's just the elite goal scorer, sure, put them the same. But again, small potatoes here. They're pretty much right next to each other in the ratings.
For me, looking at this, your 99 McDavid argument as well. Nathan McKinnon at a 96, I feel like just isn't high enough. That
right?
also
Like
could
it should
apply.
be like it should be McDavid a 99, then McKinnon at like a 97, and then maybe like Draisaitl, Matthews, Barkov 95, 96, and then
just
everyone
one
else
below McKinnon. I would do.
Yeah, it's a little wonky, but all in all, I think they got the order pretty close to right here with the top centers. So there you go. EA Sports dropping their top 10s. The new EA game, you can pre-order now to get 7-day early access. I think it drops right away. Like, it's not that far away. I think they drop it before the season starts. So September 12th. So if you pre-order, you can get it in like a week. So shout out.
My birthday.
There you go.
Let's go.
Shout out to our friends at EA Sports. Those are the top 10s.
Growing up as a kid, I used to get Shell for my birthday every single year. It was a lock.
Oh, I love
those were the
Chell.
days, man.
Chell
Those were the
release
days.
day back in the day was so much fun.
Those were the days.
So much fun. I saw they revamped Be a Pro too, which is intriguing to me. But and I'd be curious to know people. I'm a strict franchise mode guy.
Yeah, I'm franchise and then play online versus.
Okay, yeah.
Like I'll get the buddies. You can all play on the same, team or whatever.
I'm a big fan with all the sports video games, but NHL taking a bad team and rebuilding. And stacking up draft picks for a couple of years and then seeing what you can get into.
Simulating the seasons.
Yeah.
Getting all these weird AI names they give you for players.
Totally. There you go. Shout out to EA Sports NHL 26. Let's keep cruising along with the show and get to the Star Mechanical guest line. We got Coombsy in the room, but it's shout out to our friends at Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca, whether it's residential, commercial, 24/7 emergency service. They do it all, and they do it well at Star Mechanical. They are also proud partners of the Oilers Nation Open, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But starmechanical.ca if you want to find out more, as we welcome in our boy, Coombsy, who is grinding it away on the summer content. There really hasn't been that much to talk about. You can use the coffee table if you want to use it. There you go. Thank you for giving us some time today. Also, beautiful Brazil shirt.
Yeah, I got this. Oh my god, my microphone's not even in front of my face.
There you go.
Yeah, I got this on eBay. I think it was the first eBay purchase I had made in well over a decade. I bought a Vancouver 2010 Olympic poster that was just like a generic picture of a guy just saying ice hockey. And it was like in the Vancouver Olympics cartoon style, and it's framed in my parents' basement. And that was probably the last eBay purchase before this.
Before you bought that. Interesting. I bought an Eric Sabrowski rookie card on eBay a couple weeks ago. Because I think I'm starting to get the itch to open baseball cards again.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to just make my whole collection just Canadian baseball players.
That's cool. I
just want to stack it up. Get behind that. We'll talk baseball in a little bit, but I wanted to have a bigger NHL offseason topic with you for a moment. We'll make it our Sherwood Ford Giant question for the day. Shout out to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Check out their large inventory of new and used vehicles by visiting them online at sherwoodford.ca. You can also use Nation Valet Service to never visit the dealership again for your routine car maintenance. I want you, Coombsy, to rate from an NHL perspective. We're going to go away from just being Oilers-centric for a moment. On a scale of 1 to 10 from an entertainment perspective, how would you rate this NHL offseason?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to give it anything better than, like a 5. I mean, so I mean, it's going to be below that. We can start there. I mean, there was a handful of interesting moves at the beginning. Like, I think Mitch Marner doing sort of a sign and trade from Toronto to Vegas is an interesting move in a vacuum. But since that saga was drawn out it's been drawn out for years. The Mitch Marner saga, it felt like the chaos sort of began as soon as he was drafted, and then his 8 years in Toronto or whatever it wound up being, it always felt like he was going to wind up leaving. So nothing was really exciting or unexpected. I don't think there was a move from this offseason where anybody looks at it and they're like, wow, I can't believe this team signed this contract. Like last summer, Steve Stamkos signing with Nashville. Like that was a disaster for the Preds, the whole thing they did, but it was an interesting thing in the summer.
And in the moment, it had us all talking about how whoa, the Preds are legit Stanley Cup contenders.
And I don't really feel like there is a team like that. I think if we're going to talk about teams who got noticeably better and are interesting to talk about, I guess Utah added JJ Peterka and they came up with a team name, so that's nice. Anaheim got, I think Chris Kreider came during the offseason, but it might have been before the trade deadline. I honestly can't remember.
No, it was offseason.
Yeah, that was Trouba was the in-season one. Yeah. So I mean, there's 2 Western Conference
and
teams.
they signed Mikhail Granlund for $7 million.
So here's Western Conference teams going from being in the pack of 10th to 12th in the West to maybe 6th to 9th or something like that. It's not super exciting.
Well, yeah, again, last year at this time, we were very excited about what the Oilers were doing because they made some call them big splashes. Like Arvidsson and Skinner legitimately had us, the fan base, going and excited and thinking this Oilers team could be legitimately dominant. But when you look across the divisions, going into this offseason, the true cup contenders in the Pacific were Edmonton and Vegas. And it still probably is Edmonton and Vegas. The only notable storyline, I get, Anaheim, yes, they'll be better, and Calgary might be better. And the storylines in the Pacific are who got worse, because Vancouver, I think, is worse than they were a year ago. And LA didn't do anything that inspires any amount of confidence that they can compete with Edmonton and Vegas. So the cup contenders coming into the summer were Edmonton and Vegas, and we're leaving the offseason going, it's still Edmonton and Vegas. And in the Central, it's probably pretty similar, whereas okay, Colorado did some tinkering in their roster, but you'd still consider them a cup contender before. Maybe Winnipeg has fallen out in some people's eyes, but were they ever legitimately in that inner circle? That's debatable, but it still probably is in the Central. Colorado, Dallas, and that's it. And then you go to the East, and it's the same. Carolina, it's still probably Carolina. They got Ehlers, I guess, but how much does Nick Ehlers move the needle in Carolina? I don't know. It's more of what they already have. So it's probably just Carolina. I don't love New Jersey. They didn't do a ton to convince me. And in the Atlantic, maybe there's a conversation of is Toronto out of some inner circle, but similar to Winnipeg, were they ever in it? There's no team who I look at right now and go, from a positive perspective, whoa, they did something this summer that grossly convinces me they deserve to be in that upper class.
I think 2 things to consider here. The first thing is nobody expected, for example, the Washington Capitals to be the season or the team they were last season based on what they did. So is there a team that's made under the radar moves where we're kind of underrating them? Is there a team like that that's going to make a 20-point jump in the standings like the Caps did? I'm not really sure. And then the other point, which is maybe it's just me being Oilers self-absorbed and it being August and me wanting to shift a narrative in this direction. Are teams in the NHL, because there was a salary cap increase, the teams had money to spend. It wasn't a great free agency class, but are teams in the NHL right now, especially the West, not interested in loading up right now because they don't think they can beat the Oilers or the Panthers? Do they see this as Cleveland and Golden State in the NBA? Remember when it was 4 years of Cleveland, Golden State? Nobody was even really... There was no thought that anybody else was going to be in the finals those years.
I mean, maybe if you're Dallas,
they got worse, right? They're worse. They're worse than they were last year.
Yeah, I think so. They definitely lost a layer of depth. I'm looking at who's different. Their blue line still isn't all that good. You have Heiskanen, Lindell, Harley, very good, but it falls off a cliff in a hurry. You still have Ottinger. Maybe you're thinking, like, I've kind of heard some things that, like, it was real nasty in that room with Pete DeBoer. So, like, maybe you're just thinking that group is freed up a little bit under Glenn Gulletson and it'll be a bit more of a player's coach atmosphere. But I don't think if you're Dallas, getting Rantanen is, like, in air
that
quotes,
was their offseason move in the
loading up-ish. But it might be like that. There might be a couple of teams who are like, yeah, we're not doing the first round pick and something to go get Erik Karlsson because we don't think that piece actually makes us better than the Oilers, so we're just going to wait a little bit. I think it's harder in the NHL where, like, you know, in the NBA, it was like very easy to be like, okay, well, if we're in the West, like, or sorry, I guess at that point, the East, we're not beating LeBron because LeBron was single-handedly winning those games for Cleveland. Obviously, he had Kyrie and stuff. And Golden State, it was like, this team is perfectly constructed and they can't keep everybody forever. So if we just kind of wait a couple of years, things will start to change.
And then they signed Kevin Durant.
And then they signed Kevin Durant. But in hockey, it's like a little bit different because star players can't just carry you that same way. So are the Oilers as a team, like, as feared as a Golden State was? I don't quite think it's there.
Florida's probably the Golden State and Edmonton's probably the Cleveland in this situation. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
The Panthers are sort of the, you can't call them a dynasty yet, but if they win even one more Stanley Cup over the course of, if they do three cups in 5 years like the Blackhawks had, then we can sort of talk about them as being
the modern dynasty.
The dynasty of this era. That's sort of what it is now. Nobody's really winning 4 or 5 cups in a row anymore.
Yeah, you almost think, like, a good way to view it too is like the teams that'll, like, kind of define a decade. Like in the early 2000s, I know it tapered off at the end, but like the 2000 and 2010 was Detroit, right? Because they started it with some wins and then they ended it with a win in the Cup final appearances. The 2010s are probably Chicago.
Penguins as well.
Oh, yeah, Pittsburgh, I guess.
Because they had 3, but they were spread out.
Yeah, they were more spread out, and one of them came pre-2010. But you're right, Pittsburgh kind of almost was a bridge.
The Kings had a little one.
Little one. They won twice.
But not good enough to be anywhere close to a dynasty.
But you're right. If Florida were to win one in 2025 or I guess it would be 2026 or even 2027, then you're right. This decade is probably considered the Florida one. But you're right. Maybe there are teams who are sitting there being like, yeah, no, we're not like going nuts and spending all this because we know we're in a way going to have to get lucky to beat Edmonton. Or we're going to need someone else to take care of Edmonton, and then we just won't have to run into them. But
who in the East would beat Florida? Who do you see as a team that? Because I remember during the playoffs last year, it was in the second round when they took down the Leafs. We were at Greta, and we were doing one of the pre-games, and that game had just ended. They had beaten the Leafs, and everybody was laughing. And I was like, man, I don't think we should be laughing that the Panthers are still in this thing.
Well, I was 100% rooting for the Leafs in that series because I was like,
that's a considerably easier win.
The Oilers steamrolled the Leafs in that series.
Oh, easily. That would probably go, 5 games? Edmonton, Toronto in the Cup final?
Carolina, if their goaltending can stay healthy, you got to think at some point they get over that hump. But you could also look at that and be like, well, they haven't even really been that close to beating Florida.
No.
Like, it's not like they've been pushing them to 7 and it's right
Conference
there.
final losing streak dated all the way back to 2006.
Yeah.
Before they won, what was it, game 4 when they were already down 3-0? It was a throwaway game. The Panthers, the Hurricanes are sort of that darling regular season team. The stats crowd really like the Hurricanes and what they do. They do a lot of good things. They have a great front office, but they never seem to be able to get it done during the playoffs. So that's not a team that I'm worried about beating Florida.
The best shot's Tampa.
Probably.
And
probably Tampa and then Toronto second, I think.
They have done like a little bit of that sort of, and it's happened slowly, but like retooling on the fly where like now you look and their oldest forward is Kucherov at 32. Points under 30. Gensel just turned 30. Hagel's under 30. Sorelli's under 30. They got some depth. Like they signed Yanni Gord to that sweetheart deal. Like now that he's on a good contract, he's probably valuable. Their blue line is a little bit but they have some young guys there who their best days are probably still ahead of them, and like Chernak and JJ Moser. And then you have Vasilevsky, who we forget is only 31. I think he's 36 when I hear his name.
Seems like he's the same age as Sergei Bobrovsky.
Right?
They're the same age, but that is not even close to true.
But like Vasilevsky could, if he follows the arc of Bobrovsky, he could have 8 more good years left in him, which is crazy.
That is nuts.
I would have said Tampa's the best shot, and then I was like, man, they played Florida. How was that series again? Oh, yeah, 5 games.
In the first round, right?
Like, man.
Yeah, that was the Panthers. I think, I don't know. I can't really remember how I felt coming into the playoffs, but I did sort of see it being a rematch. But I didn't really think the Panthers were going to have as easy of a time with some of the teams as they did, like especially Tampa. Because I
thought Tampa was going 7.
Yeah, I thought Tampa would at least go 7 in that series or win it and upset Florida.
I had Tampa winning that series. I had because my thing, and again, this is almost, I use this analogy for a lot of things, but like you go to the roulette table, it's been red 8 times and you're like, all right, I'm betting on black. But it was like at some point Florida had to run out of gas, I thought, and albeit they didn't. But if you flash me forward to next April or May and I'm filling out my bracket, I'm probably going to have the same line of thinking going like at some point Florida has to run out of gas. And who could be the team that takes advantage of that? It's probably Tampa, who would have to catch them sleeping a little bit in round 1 or 2 and get a couple of bounces. But it is funny, Aaron, when you look back and it's like, oh yeah, that series wasn't even close. And like the one where you kick yourself in terms of Florida having this run end, it's like, how the hell did Toronto not, after winning game 6 in Florida, how do they fuck that up so bad?
It was, that's one of the other things where we circle back to where we talked about, we all saw Mitch Marner leaving coming. Austin Matthews says after that game, we had too many passengers. Everyone knew who he was talking to.
Yeah, I think you can go back almost even further to like in the preseason, the way Berube handled some of the stuff. And it was like, it was very clear this marriage was coming to a close, which again is a little bit of a shot at the Leafs. Why did you not trade him last summer? Like, you could have gotten so much for him a year away from unrestricted free agency, and instead you end up getting Nicholas Waugh. Yikes.
Yeah.
Not a great look.
Not the best, yeah.
So we kind of talked there about how boring this offseason was. We put the poll question up. 54% of you said you would rate this offseason a 1 to 2 out of 10. Another 30, only 10% of you had it higher than a 6. So yeah, there hasn't been that entertainment factor. Could anything entertaining still happen? I honestly don't even think so. I'm trying to think back to like our trade boards at Daily Faceoff that Larkin was handling. Erik Karlsson. Like, is there a team who will get close to the season who has around $5 to $10 million in cap space? Carolina maybe does because they have $10 million, but like that'll put their hand up, be like, you know what, Pittsburgh, we'll take them from you. We'll give you a pick, but like, even that would hardly move the needle for me now.
Yeah, I mean, like the one of the more interesting things that could happen that seems somewhat feasible is the Sens go and reacquire Erik Karlsson. And you're like, oh wow, an Erik Karlsson homecoming to Ottawa. But the best case scenario for that is probably Ottawa finishing 3rd in the Atlantic Division and losing in the first round. So, okay, it's a notable thing, but this isn't like preseason, let's get hyped, like crazy exciting move. I don't think that's happening this fall.
No. There's probably a Karlsson conversation closer to the deadline, which is honestly maybe even the smart play for Pittsburgh, where like get through half of this season. Karlsson has 2 more years left. Then even at that point, if you were to get to the deadline and like, we can walk through a whole bunch of hypotheticals, but like Carolina is starved for offense. They're probably willing to pay more for Karlsson. Walk through a hypothetical of injuries. Like if Cale Makar, knock on wood, because it's an Olympic year, if Cale Makar blows out his ACL in December.
More time for Bouchard on Team Canada then.
More time for Bouchard.
So are we taking back that knock? Or?
Well, like what if Evan Bouchard were to get hurt, right?
Whoa.
Hey.
But like there's a lot of scenarios where like the market for Karlsson grows by the midpoint of the season and all that, which does kind of tie me into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Our friend Matt Larkin at Daily Faceoff had the Edmonton Oilers as one of the 5 teams who got noticeably worse over the offseason. And while I get the way you can come to that conclusion of like, okay, Corey Perry was a 20-goal scorer, he's off the roster. Evander Kane was good to great at points in the playoffs. At points he was also not, but that's a guy who's now off the roster. And then you had Arvidsson and Skinner who are gone, and the only guys they brought in are Mangiapane, Howard, and they're probably not counting Savoy in this equation, but I think you can. Where I have a problem calling the Oilers like noticeably worse is, let's remove the name value from these guys and just look at them for what they actually produced. Getting, a combined 30 goals from Arvidsson and Skinner? Granted, a lot of them were at 5-on-5, but getting 30 goals from Arvidsson and Skinner, you will get 30 goals from Trent Frederick and Andrew Mangiapane next year. I am pretty convinced of that.
Yeah, and then there's the 2 young wingers in the mix too. Isaac Howard, of course, Matt Savoy. I mean, it is we talked about this back in July, and I think it seems like a different conversation now because it's August and things have happened and we're all bored. But I think the conclusion that we all came to when we talked about this over a month ago was that the Oilers are probably worse. They are worse now than they were in the Stanley Cup final in June, but that's inevitable. And are they worse than they were this time last year? And that's what we're worried about because they have plenty of time during the season to make the moves they need to make to improve themselves. And I think what we care about as people following the Oilers coming into the 2025-26 season is how much flexibility do they have to make a move. If the Oilers had gone and traded more first-round draft picks and more prospects and X, Y, and Z, whatever, put themselves, 1 cent away from the cap ceiling or gone over because of LTIR, whatever that people wanted them to do, then do they have a single bullet to spend at the trade deadline if something different goes wrong that nobody expects? Like we just talked about, you say Makar gets injured or Bouchard gets injured. Nobody's expecting that at the beginning of their season. So you don't really know what the Oilers are going to have to do come January, February, March. And that always seems to be when they add a key guy, right? There's been Evander Kane or Corey Perry or I don't know, John Klingberg's not really a key guy, but one of those January additions that was good. And that's sort of what they do. So I'm not too concerned about where the Oilers stand in the first 3 months of the regular season, because for me, this is regular season starts in January.
Totally. And that's what I was just going to say. Like, are the Oilers better? Do I view the Oilers as better right now than I viewed them a year ago, if that makes any sense? Like, no, because we were so hyped about Skinner and so hyped about Arvidsson. But the reality of it all is that January, whatever last year, the Oilers had Podkolzin and Kapanen playing with Leon Draisaitl. It was not Skinner. It was not Arvidsson. So if you want to talk about the Oilers potentially being worse this regular season than they were last year, I think you need to do it in the context of how their ads last offseason, and now those being the guys who are out the door, how they actually performed. Because, like, who was the Oilers' top 6 for the bulk or for their good stretches last year? McDavid, Nuge, Hyman, Draisaitl, Podkolzin, Kapanen. All still here. Now you have the upside of Howard. Now you have the upside of a guy of Savoy. Mangiapane probably can't be a worse fit than Victor Arvidsson was. What's a healthy Trent Frederick? Like, I know from talking to the guy's dad in Florida how bad his ankle was. Like,
you could see it when he was playing.
Anyone with 2 eyes is like, wow, this guy is definitely not
around.
Yeah. If he's healthy, he's still well under 30. There's an idea, and what you said too, that their big ad comes at the deadline. Like, if you want to talk about the Oilers potentially adding scoring, first off, they have their second and third rounders next year. They didn't have that many picks in last year's draft and at the deadline last year. And then the year after, they have their, I believe, first, second, and third. And the year after, I think they have their first, second, and third as well. Like, they have a chance, as much as Sam O'Reilly for Isaac Howard kills one prospect you can trade, you have Ike Howard, so it doesn't matter. But, like, you can legitimately dip into some future assets in terms of draft picks at this deadline. If they're way better positioned, here's a good way for me to say it, they're way better positioned to make a big splash at this year's deadline than they were last year.
Yeah, they are. I mean, you look at the very least, they have the second and third round pick in this year's draft to dangle, and then they also have the first in 2027, and then you look ahead to other drafts, 2028, there's 2 third round picks there. So there is some draft pick capital, and then I mean, I'm not going to say the Oilers have a strong minor league system, but there are some names in there that might make it a little bit easier for Stan Bowman to make a big splash at 2026 deadline, as opposed to last year where, I mean, Wallman, Frederick, good additions, but not maybe the superstar edition that some fans wanted, especially the superstar edition between the pipes, which I think is what we've been talking about for trade deadlines for years, right?
Yeah, and just this is such a big look ahead. But if you were to look at I'm looking at the free agent, like pending UFA wingers for this coming or for next summer. So the guys who could be the rentals at this year's deadline. Could you see a world where Seattle sucks? Absolutely. Like,
yes, I don't see a world where they don't.
Okay, well, right, like, what if a Jaden Schwartz or a Mason Marchment shakes loose there? And those are the big name rentals. Like, one of those, Mason Marchment would look awesome in an Oilers jersey come playoff time. Islanders, they could very well suck. What if they're trading Anders Lee as a pure rental? That'd definitely be an option. What if Buffalo has to do the pure rental thing with Alex Tuck? Like, there's a chance that there are 4 really, really good wingers on the market, and the Oilers would absolutely have the draft capital to go out and get one of those guys. And then I guess the other thing you'd want to keep an eye on is who are the goalies that are potentially available at the deadline. And the pending UFAs between the pipes, you would need New Jersey to suck, but there's maybe a world where it's Jacob Markstrom. And if Minnesota sucks, there's a world where Philip Gustafson's available as a UFA because they have Wallstedt behind him. Cam Talbot in Detroit, that would be more of like a stopgap where whatever. Let's see what 32-year-old Laurent Brossoit looks like coming off his injury. He had good runs with Vegas, or like good stretches with Vegas, I should say. I don't know. I just think there's some really interesting names on the market heading into the deadline, and just sitting here and throwing your hands up and being like, the Oilers are worse than they were last year. 1, like you said, too early to do that. 2, I think it's actually way too harsh on them to do that because In the moment, sure, but they've filled their lineup now with upside. And that's kind of what you have to do. Like, you're right. The regular season starts in January. So what a smart organization, I'm hoping the Oilers are that this year, would do, Howard plays a ton, Savoy plays a ton, and then by January you say, okay, is one of them or is both of them a solution for us come playoff time? If not, send them down to Bakersfield, and we know what we need to get at the deadline.
And then these are also young players that can be used in a trade as well. Like you have players like Howard and Savoy and potentially maybe a Ty Emberson, a name like that, where if you have to add a roster player to go and get the number one winger or the number one D-man available on the market, then maybe that's what you have to do. But the Oilers are going to know what they have to do because they're going to spend October, November, December figuring it out rather than saying, all right, it's October the 8th and we're going to try and win the Stanley Cup tomorrow. It's not going to go like that.
100%. The other thing too is like knowing what you need right now. People will kill me for this, but like, what if Stuart Skinner takes a step forward? And now you're sitting there going, maybe we just need to upgrade Pickard a little bit, but maybe we don't need to touch our goaltending at all. I know you'll all call me crazy, but there is a world where that happens. What if Matthias Ekholm doesn't look like Matthias Ekholm?
Oof.
And like that's a very real thing.
That's
that
never happened in Edmonton with a Swedish defenseman before, where they just disappeared.
You don't know, like we're at the choose your own adventure path. There is a path where their biggest need is a scoring winger because Howard and Savoy don't work out. There is a path where their biggest need is a shutdown defenseman because Matthias Ekholm looks like a 36-year-old coming off a significant injury. There's a world where he's great again, absolutely. And there's a world where you need a goalie really bad. And all three of those are options. Whether there's a 33% chance of all of them, no, that's probably not true. Probably more likely you need a goalie, maybe more likely you need... There's a world where all three of those are legitimate deadline possibilities.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's that's sort of the crux of the conversation is when you sit here in the middle or late August and you think of all the things that could potentially go right or wrong over the course of a hockey season. Like, who knows what random free agent could be available in January for whatever reason.
And that's the other thing too. If you would have told people this time last year, Brad Marchand's getting moved at the deadline. Seth Jones is going to get moved by the midway point of the season. Mikko Rantanen's not going to be a Colorado Avalanche. People would have called you crazy 12 months ago.
Or Jake Wallman being the big addition that he was.
Yeah,
after
that too.
Being a trade, like a... Yeah. You just don't even know.
Yeah. Maynard Nugent Spivey. Calvin Pickard is the Tyler Heineman of backup goalies.
Man, that's Matt Tompkins, maybe.
That could be Matt Tompkins.
Canadian Olympic legend.
The Pickard and Heineman thing actually makes sense because, like, no matter how good Heineman plays for the Jays, he's still hitting over 300.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's. I think his batting average the last time I saw was at like 345 or something, and it's still going.
Absolutely bananas. But
he's older too, right? Like I thought, I was like, was this guy like a top prospect somewhere else? He's like 35.
Yeah, he's been on like 12 organizations.
This is their Chris Colabello this year.
It really is. I want to talk some Blue Jays with you. Obviously, we used to be Blue Jays Nation Radio, the marquee podcast on BlueJaysNation.com. We've given way to Whit Merrifield.
After grinding through the 2022, 23, and 24 seasons, we're now watching as fans.
Which is fine. Whit and Lindsay do a great job. You can find them at the Blue Jays Nation YouTube. They had Ty France on with their last episode, but because it's Whit Merrifield hosting a podcast in our network, which is so sick to say, we are getting interviews with Ty France, Dalton Varsho. Basically, every active Jay is going to stop by this podcast. So find it wherever you get your podcasts from. Coming into the year, there was a legitimate chance that this was the start of the Blue Jays decade of darkness. That Vladdy, who set all these deadlines, wasn't going to sign, and both Vladdy and Bo were traded at the deadline, and this team's 20 games out of first place, and they're never going to be what they were in 2015, and we're going to be sitting there in 2035 going, boy, the playoff drought sucks.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that could not be further from what actually ended up playing out. Not only is Vladdy signed, but Bo is this, revitalized Bo Bichette who looks like he's having fun being a Blue Jay again, and he's healthy, and he's playing great baseball, and he's leading the major league in hits, and everything else that's happened. I guess I'll leave it more open-ended and not ruin it for you, but like, if you were having a conversation with yourself from spring training as a Blue Jays fan, telling yourself everything that's happened, what are the top 3 things that would surprise you the most about this season?
Oh man, it's a big list, but I think I'll start off with, to circle back to us doing BJN Radio those few seasons, is it's almost like this year, all of the things we talked about having to happen right in those like dog days of summer, July, August times where it'd be like, if only they got this at the same time, then it would all be great. And the Jays are getting that now. They've got the, that chippy defense style they've been trying to do for a few years, and it's working now because everyone's hitting for contact, everyone's getting on base, but
they grind at bats.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
They have these long at bats where it's not uncommon to see a guy foul off 8, 9, 10 pitches in at bat, that kind of thing. And then I think ultimately at the core, like, you have your Ernie Clements, Nathan Lucas, Tyler Heinemann's, random names like that who have probably done better than anybody would have expected, but the star players in the middle, the ones we talked about having to rebound and be good, are ones who have rebounded and been good. Like, Vladdy has been their best hitter this season. He's improved his OPS every single month. Like, he's gotten hotter every month. Bo is having the best season he's had in a while. George Springer, shocking bounce back after last year, given his age. He's in the conversation now. It's going to be, I would imagine it's going to be Aaron Judge winning the MVP, but George Springer will probably be one of those guys that gets some votes and finishes top 10 in MVP.
He's a 929 OPS.
Yeah, he's killing it, and he's good in the outfield too. And then the pitching's been fine. The starting pitching's getting the job done, and then they go and acquire Shane Bieber, who, if he's healthy, is an ace, a number one pitcher. And behind that, they already have this handful of guys doing well, the consistent ones, the Barrios, Bassett's, Kevin Gosman's. But even beyond that, they get Eric Lauer out of nowhere on waiver claim, I think he was, and he's got a 2.76 ERA over the course of 14 starts. Max Scherzer, who's 40 years old, he was injured for the first month of the year. Everybody thought, wow, what a dumb signing. Why'd they bring in this guy? And here he is now pitching down the stretch, like getting all excited, and he's on the bench holding the ball, showing guys different grips and whatnot. So for a team that saw things go fairly wrong 3 years in a row, this year, everything's gone right.
George Springer's OPS in his Blue Jays career, this is year 5. He had a 907 his first year, 814, 732. Last year it went all the way down to 674, and now it's all the way up to 929. He has already hit 24 home runs. It is one shy of the most he's had in a season as a Blue Jay, so he's absolutely going to crush that. For me, like, they had some bullpen guys, especially early on, like when Brendan Little and Braden Fisher were doing their thing. And it's like, these are guys you picked up off the scrap heap. But that happens all the time in baseball. Relievers are like a weird, fickle thing. And I know people are freaking out about the bullpen right now. But the weird thing about bullpens is you can be freaking out on August 27th. The calendar can just flip to September, and the Blue Jays could have the best bullpen in baseball in September.
Yeah,
it's just weird like that.
It could just be a Thursday off day where it's just, they start a new series and it all sort of clicks. Like, Hoffman had a terrible, terrible run, I think, in July, either before or after the All-Star break. It must have been, I think it was when they had that series out west against the Dodgers, and Mason Fluharty had to come in and save that one game. He had some just terrible appearances where nothing was in the strike zone. And then after that, he must have gone 7, 8, 9 appearances in a row without allowing a run. So that is usually what happens with closers like that. This was the Jordan Romano experience as well, where he'd blow 3 saves in a week and then he'd be lights out for 3 weeks.
He's allowed runs in back-to-backs, but you were right. Before this, it was 9 straight appearances without a run. Relief pitching is fickle because when it goes bad, it goes horrendously bad. Like, there really isn't that middle ground. Anyways, Aaron, what
I was in vacation mode for last week. Shane Bieber pitched and was fantastic.
Yeah, but he was fantastic against the Marlins.
Okay, because I heard it was
a AAA lineup.
Yeah.
But he looked like Shane Bieber, the one we know and love.
We're going to see if he's the real Cy Young Shane Bieber this weekend, because they're facing the Milwaukee Brewers, the best team in baseball.
That's right.
And they've lined it up so that Biebs will start the Friday game to open it up. So they believe. They're saying this is our ace.
It also, I think there's maybe because there's more people like jumping on the bandwagon, which I love, and it is awesome. But there's people who freak out whenever they lose a game. And it's like, they are still, at the end of tonight, there is a world and a very clear path where they are the best team in the American League if they win tonight. Okay, like what? People just expected them to be at like that 680 win percentage that they were for a few months. They just thought that was going to keep happening. And it's like, no, you're going to come back to earth. You're going to have your highs and lows. Like, there's a reason you play 162 games, because there will be chances for you to, as much as it's frustrating to lose a game like last night against Minnesota, maybe they take 2 or 3 from Milwaukee. And like, no one in Milwaukee is going to be freaking out and being like, oh, the Brewers are cooked. Like, you win series, you lose series. It would take a lot for them to not hold on to this top spot in the American League East.
I think so, yeah. They're 4 up on Boston, 4.5 up on the Yankees with, I think, 29 games left now. Teams have blown leads, and it does happen, especially if your pitching and bullpen go cold in August and September. But, I don't know. The Jays have had, there hasn't really, even with these blown saves recently, they're still not in a lull. They haven't had when was the last time they had a bad week where they went like 1-6 or 2-5 or whatever? It's been a long time.
Long time. Like losing the series to the Pirates sucked.
Yeah.
But again, actually, when you look at their record, Pittsburgh's a surprisingly good home team somehow. But the Jays are fine. Again, if someone would have told me coming into this year, even like, hey, they're just going to be a wild card team, which now the bar is like, you want that first round bye and you don't want to play in that shitty little best of 3. But for them to fall out of a playoff spot right now, they're 10.5 games up on the Kansas City Royals.
That'd be a huge collapse. Like that's
Well, at this point in the season, that's like borderline impossible.
yeah. That's you need things to go double wrong, like where you're losing games, all of the other team goes nuclear or something like that. It would.
Yeah. It's just not, with that many teams in between you, it's just like not something that can happen. So like the Jays are going to be a playoff team. It's just a matter of if they're going to be first, second, third in the American League. Even if they were at this point to slip into a wild card spot, at least it would happen, and that series would in all likelihood happen at Rogers, which they're so good at home. They're 43 and 22 at home.
Well, that's why winning the division and getting that first or second spot in the American League is so important, because they're a pretty different team at home versus the road. It's a different experience for the Jays. Like they're going to have a probably, like thinking October baseball in Toronto, likely a closed dome where it's going to just be wild.
Rocking in there. It'll be so good. Okay, couple of things that I need to plug before we wrap up the show. First off, Oilers Nation Open, brought to you by Star Mechanical, all in support of Gregor's Grads, is happening on Friday. It's a 9 a.m. shotgun start. I cannot wait. This is one of my favorite days of the year out at the Millwoods Golf Tournament. Also, shout out to our friends at Greta, because they're going to be hosting our exclusive after party that night. So if you're coming to the Oilers Nation Open, do not forget to swing by, or at least plan to get to Greta afterwards. We're going to be playing games. We're going to be having a few more drinks, eating the delicious food as well. Our go-to party spot, Greta, downtown Edmonton. It is going to be bumping on Friday, and you're going to want to get into our exclusive Oilers Nation Open after party. Also, our First Nation vacation of the year has officially launched. We are keeping it north of the border, and we are going to Vancouver. It's all made possible by our friend Chelsea LaBelle at Expedia Cruises in Northeast Edmonton, but we are going to Vancouver. You get in with your purchase to our exclusive watch party on Saturday night as Edmonton takes on Seattle. You get tickets to Edmonton, Vancouver on Sunday, and we fly back home on Monday. It is a quick up, down, in, and out in Vancouver. Bunch of different options if you want to get in. You can do the full package for double occupancy, so you and a friend, $12.99 each. That's incredibly affordable considering it's flights, 2 nights in a hotel, and your tickets to the hockey game. If you are already in Vancouver, or you're somewhere in BC, or you're anywhere else other than Edmonton and you want to meet us there, we do offer our non-flight package, which starts at $899 for double occupancy. That gets you your hotel, into our watch parties, the exclusive swag, and your tickets to the game. You can also, if you live in Vancouver, you can get our experience only package, which gets you into our watch party and gets you your tickets to the game for just $220. We are already low stock on that one. Only 5 more of the experience only. So if you're in Vancouver, don't wait. We're actually pretty low stock on almost every part of this package. That is insane. The double occupancy is less than 5 spots remaining too. So our First Nation vacation of the year, October 25th and 26th. You remember the OG Nation vacations, the bus trips to Calgary.
Yeah,
that was more Coombsy speed.
Yeah, that was my vibe. It was I went on the first ever flight one as well. We did the trip to Vegas in 2018, I think.
2019, because wasn't it right before the pandemic, or was that no? There was one before.
Yeah, it was 2018. It was Vegas' inaugural season. We went down the first year that they existed, and but otherwise before that, it was always the bus trips, and those bus trips to Calgary was a good time. You'd always get a bunch of people meeting in a parking lot at like 9 a.m.
Home Depot parking lot, Southside, 9 a.m.
And everybody would have like one of those little, those, what do you call those cups that you put what do you call those?
Like a Stanley cup or whatever? Or,
yeah, one of those mugs that you can keep a drink cold in.
A thermos.
And then you'd have people that just had like some real hefty drinks in there. And then the bus would get a little bit rowdier as time went along.
And then the bus ride home on Sunday was always just dead quiet.
Yeah, it was the most hungover bus you've ever seen.
All right, let's wrap up the show for our friends at Bet365. You can download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We can keep the Blue Jays talk going a little bit here real quick. The Jays have Eric Lauer on the bump tonight, and opposite him for the Minnesota Twins, it's also a 5:07 first pitch, is Simeon Woods Richardson, the former Jays prospect. They traded him in the Jose Barrios deal. He has had a run of late, 3 earned runs and back-to-back starts for him. So here's my same game parlay for the Blue Jays. You can ride with me. Jays to win the game. Jays to win the first 5 innings. Eric Lauer back in the starting rotation. He's had at least 4 strikeouts in 5 straight games. I'm going to take him to get 4 strikeouts. And then hits, runs, and RBIs. I'm going to go Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think he is due to have himself a big game, getting comfortable, coming off his injury. I'm going to say he gets at least 3 hits, runs, or RBIs, which a home run covers all of them. An RBI, a hit that scores 2 runs and a base hit. He needs 3 hits, runs, or RBIs. It comes out to plus $390, so $50 would pay out $245. Shout out to our friends at Bet365.
It seems like it would feel very Blue Jays to conclude this series with Simeon Woods Richardson doing like 7-8 innings of shutout ball and Austin Martin going like 3 for 4 with 3 stolen bases or something.
Austin Martin, he was not good yesterday, actually. He had some base running errors. Anyways, we got a comment in the YouTube chat. We'll end on this one. Marduk the 12th just simply said, Nico Dawes. And if you think on August 27th, if you're spending time convincing yourself that a goalie with 52 career starts who last season, granted, had good numbers, but only played 6 games in the NHL, if you think that guy's the solution right now, just go enjoy the warm weather. We don't need to be talking about Nico Dawes on August 27th. Coombsy, thanks for swinging by.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Tomorrow, new episode of Real Life is going to drop. I'm going to tell some stories from my first ever fishing trip with our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Find them right in the heart of Sherwood Park. Also, going to do some stuff with our friends at EA Sports coming up as well. The new NHL game drops in a couple of weeks. What was the first NHL game you remember getting?
NHL Hits 2003.
NHL Hits.
Oh, great
that
game.
Chris Pronger on the front. Love that game.
That's sick.
That's what really got me.
NHL 2001. That was me.
I remember
It was Mario on the
I had
cover?
NHL 04, I think, with
Danny Heatley. Right?
and then they changed. I think it was like
To
Marcus.
LeCavier?
Yeah, no, that was 03.
They changed it to Sakic. 04 was Healy to Sakic.
Right.
Because you could have
And
the
LeCavier
GM
was-
office.
Yeah.
LeCavier was 06 then. 05 would have been... Because 08 was...
Naslund was, he was before that. Naslund might have been like,
2007 Ovechkin, 2008 Phaneuf, 2009 Eric Stahl?
yeah. Oh, you're on a roll, yeah.
I love doing that with Madden covers or NBA
NHL
covers.
10 was, I think,
Patrick Kane?
Patrick Kane, yeah.
And then this is where it gets fuzzy for me.
14 was Broder. 13 was Giroux.
12 Stamkos?
12 might have been Stamkos, yeah. Oh, we got to look these up now. We're
Yeah,
not ending
we
the show
gotta
until we're
look,
done
we
this.
gotta look.
EA Sports NHL covers. These are all going to just come flooding back to me. We nailed 14-13. Come on, show me the covers. Where were we? 2010, we nailed it with Kane. Taves was 11. 12 was Stamkos. We nailed that. Giroux was 13. Broder, 14. 15 was Bergeron. 16, they went back to Taves. 17 was Tarasenko. 18 was McDavid. 19 was Subban. 20 was Matthews. Ovi in 21. Back to Matthews in 22. 23 was Zegras and Sarah Nurse. 24 Makar. 25 Hughes. And this year's Matt Tkachuk. Phaneuf was 09. Eric Stahl was 08. We had him flipped. Ovi 07. LeCavalier 06. Naslund was 05. Heatley Sakic in 04. Aginla 03. Lemieux 02.
Is there an Owen Nolan in there?
Owen Nolan
2001.
01.
There it is. The pride of Belfast,
There we go.
Northern Ireland.
Pronger in 2000, and that's probably enough of that. That's a wrap on today's show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Friday morning, the plan is to do a live stream from the check-in desk at the Oilers Nation Open. So if you want to turn on your notifications, I'll be going live probably around 7:45, 8 a.m. when we get set up at the Millwoods Golf Course. So I will talk to you all then. Shout out to Bet365, Sherwood Ford, Oodle Noodle, all of our partners. Go download 6th Inning Stretch, and I will see you all Friday on the golf course. Oil up.